Jonathan Toews made a statement recently about potentially returning to the NHL, and this could be huge for hockey. Just 3 days before the new year, GQ put out an interview with Toews where he can be quoted saying he doesn't really feel like his career is over and that he is going to give a return to the NHL his best shot. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the timeline of Jonathan Toews' healing journey, as well as discussing which team I think he should end up playing for if his return actually happens. Before we talk about that, let's brush up on how we got here and why GQ of all media interviewed him in the first place. On April 13th, 2023, Jonathan Toews played his final game for the Chicago Blackhawks after the team came out saying they would not renew his expiring contract in the offseason. Up to this point, news articles had been coming out of Toews mentioning he was dealing with long COVID as well as chronic immune response syndrome. It was actually because of these health problems that he missed the entire 2020-21 season, as well as some absences throughout the 2022-23 season, which for now was his last in the NHL. The fact that he was about to turn 35 at the time, escorted by his health issues, made fans and analysts around the league wonder if this wasn't just his last game as a Blackhawk, but as an NHLer altogether. 3 months later, when the NHL's free agency began, Toews didn't sign anywhere, and it became more and more apparent that his career was coming to an end. On August 17th, 2023, Jonathan Toews answered all of the rumors. In an Instagram post, he announced that he wasn't fully retiring, but stepping away from the game due to health issues pertaining to long COVID, CIRS, and other similar cases that are quite complex. The support and gratitude from Chicago fans and hockey fans in general obviously poured out, and why wouldn't it? But at the same time, he was 35 years old with an illustrious career full of accomplishments, so why would he say that he wasn't fully retiring and just stepping away? Well, that's because he was committed to rehabilitating himself and actually making a return to the game. He told GQ that a month after he announced his stepping away from hockey, he went to India to work with an Ayurvedic practitioner. Ayurvedic medicine is the traditional Indian medical system, mostly relying on natural and holistic approaches of physical and mental healing. That right there answers why GQ wanted to talk to Toews so badly, because it's simply uncommon for a professional athlete to take this route of any form of rehabilitation. He was drinking herbally infused ghee butter, taking mud baths, and more fascinating treatments, but the most important part was that although it was difficult for him, it was working. By the way, I'll leave a link to the full GQ article in the description if you're interested in reading more about Toews' Ayurvedic healing journey and his situation in general. Because everything was going so well for Toews, it leads us to January 2nd, 2025, where we hear this from Frank Saravalli.
Well, I can tell you that at this point, Jonathan Toews has indeed resumed skating. He's feeling the best that he has in years. But Andy, I'm going to give you 3 teams to keep an eye on if Jonathan Toews does decide to make a comeback bid. One of them is the Toronto Maple Leafs. The other would be the Winnipeg Jets, the hometown team for Jonathan Toews. And the third would be the Colorado Avalanche, in desperate need of another center.
Just the fact that Toews has 3 different options at this point in his recovery process speaks volumes to 2 things: his immeasurable value as a hockey player and leader in general, as well as how far along he is in recovery and how ready he is to start playing. I mean, think about it. Why would 3 different elite hockey teams be knocking on this guy's door? I think Toews and his agent both understand that he is seriously gearing up to make a return to the NHL here. And it goes without saying that Jonathan Toews returning to the NHL after almost 2 years of absence would be electrifying, both for the fans but especially for him. Because of that, I think Toews should keep the ball rolling in his direction and continue to do what's best for him. And what's better than going to Winnipeg and playing in his hometown? That's right, Jonathan Toews should become a Winnipeg Jet and see what it's truly like to play at home. After all he's given to the NHL, as well as what he's been through on his healing journey, I think he deserves to experience playing hometown hockey to finish his career on a high note. And I'm more than certain the Winnipeg Jets, who are atop the league right now, could definitely use a 3-time Stanley Cup champion somewhere up the middle in their top 9 for the playoffs. The only caveat here is that if any team wants to sign him for a potential playoff run this year, they'd have to do so by March 7th, which is the trade deadline. Let me know where you think he should end up playing if he returns to the NHL in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.